What's up, everybody? Welcome to my PlayStation 4 collection! 100 games, exactly 100 games, not one more, not one less. So I was waiting for this day patiently to showcase my entire PlayStation 4 collection to you all. So what I'm gonna do is showcase some of the games, some of the most popular games. I'll just show them to you, and some of the obscure ones, I guess I'll talk about them, okay? And my special editions, I'll show pictures of them. So with that clarified, let's begin. And of course, let's begin with this huge special edition of Odin's Sphere. I think every single one of you has seen it. This comes with everything you're seeing right now in this picture. It has a lot of goodies, including that ridiculous t-shirt. Yeah, that's a horrible t-shirt. I guess it's fun, but I don't know, man. They could have included one of the characters or just the logo of the game or something else besides that stupid formula. But, you know, it's appreciated nonetheless. And, yeah, the art book, the steel case and whatnot. This is a great special edition, and it is my favorite item in my entire PlayStation 4 collection. This is great, Odin's Sphere, masterpiece, you already know it, so let's move on to the next game. Okay, I guess we're gonna go by pillars. We're gonna start with these two pillars and then we'll move on to this one with all the rest of the special editions. And I gotta start with a really precious RPG, which is my favorite indie RPG of all time. This is Cosmic Star Heroine. This is the limited run games copy, so you can imagine it's kind of expensive. Turn-based RPG, science fiction, influenced a bit by Phantasy Star 4 specifically, Chrono Trigger, all those great JRPGs from the alleged golden age. And this is one of the very few PlayStation 4 games that comes with a manual, and not just any manual. This is, I mean, can you see this, you know? It's a big, bulky manual. It's just a manual, it's not an art book or anything, it's just a manual. But man, I mean, I miss these times. I miss when games came with manuals. A lot of PlayStation 3 games also came with manuals, but that was a time when we started seeing games with no manuals, with no booklets. Man, that sucks, but whatever. Moving on to Darkest Dungeon. This is the game that influenced all of those Darkest Dungeon clones, obviously. It's a good game and it's dark as hell, which I really enjoyed. But it's one of those where there's barely any story, zero character development, repetitive gameplay, you know, kind of like dungeon crawling like in 2D. And I love the atmosphere and the ambience of it, but it just wasn't my type of game. I wish it could have had better story, more focus on the story and characters. Okay, it's a very popular game and very influential, but it's honestly not for me. Anyway, Darkest Dungeon, yeah, regular standard copy, let's move on. Moving on to one of my favorite games on the PS4 that's not an RPG. This is a Plague Tale Innocence. I know Requiem came out on the PS5 recently and I haven't played it, but this one I freaking loved it. And I'm pretty sure you already know about this game, so let's move on. It's a pretty popular game, yeah. Strongly recommended, by the way. Moving on to Bloodstained, a Ritual of the Night. One of the very, if not the only Metroidvania game that I actually like. Yeah, pretty popular game, right? I haven't played the others by this series, but Bloodstained, I really enjoyed. Love the protagonist, man. Oh yeah. Another game that's not an RPG. There's gonna be a bunch of games that are not RPGs, but don't worry, the large majority of them are role-playing games, especially JRPGs. This is Rayman Legends. I guess it has a damn sticker here that I couldn't remove fully. Damn. Yeah, Rayman Legends, one of the best Rayman games in my opinion, if not the best, but that's just my opinion. Okay, so next is a fighting game and a hidden gem actually. A lot of people don't know about this game. It's by Nicalis, and it's pretty much a crossover between a lot of characters from the Nicalis franchise like Cave Story, Shovel Knight, Code of Princess, which is a bit of a beat-em-up action RPG in 2D. Great game. This has great controls, great combat, great battle mechanics, and the atmosphere, I mean, the personality of this game. The music gives it a lot of personality, and the animations are just freaking beautiful. I love this game. It is one of my, if I was to make one of these days a top 10 best fighting games or favorite fighting games, I'm pretty sure this will be there. I think it's also on Switch and Steam, maybe? And of course it has a lot of fan service, as you can see. I mean, it includes Solange from Code of Princess, like I mentioned. and characters from other series, like The Binding of Isaac, for example. That's a popular RPG, kind of like roguelike game. But anyway, great game, guys. Blade Strangers. If you like fighting games in 2D, pick this one up if you see it. It's very, very good. Okay, moving on. Okay, let's go back to JRPGs. This is a really, really popular game. It's a Final Fantasy game. This is the Zodiac Age. Okay, this is Final Fantasy 12, the remaster. Amazing remaster. This is the version to play nowadays over the PS2 version. Okay, this is another hidden gem. I've covered this game a few times in this channel. This year, actually. Since last year, I've been talking about it. This is Relayer. It may not look like your classic JRPG. It looks like a mech fighting game, but no, it's a grid-based strategy RPG. And really good story. It's one of those that start off kind of slow and boring and generic, but the more you advance, the more it slowly starts pulling you in more and more until you just can't stop playing it, man. It's a great game and it's long. You're gonna be playing for at the very least 30 hours. And yes, it's repetitive a little bit, but if you're into strategy RPGs and science fiction plots and mature stories, sure, it has some slice of life dialogue and some visual novel stuff and whatnot, but other than that, you know, give this game a chance. It's really good, and I think this is a PlayStation exclusive. I think it's only on PS4, PS5, and that's it, man. Relayer, pick it up. Pretty similar to the Super Robot Tyson series. In fact, it's pretty much influenced by those. This is the popular remaster of Tactics Ogre Reborn. Great game. I became a fan of this game the moment I played it, when previously I wasn't a fan for many years, until I played this remaster and became a fan. It surpassed my expectations. Oninaki is another game that I've covered a lot of times in this channel, precisely because it's one of those with mature stories. Kind of like a Diablo style of gameplay, but not really. Kind of top-down view action RPG. Great game, pretty dark, unique storytelling, and this was done by the developers who made I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere. Definitely pick this one up, guys. It's dirt cheap nowadays, especially this version that I have, which I think it's the PAL version. But yeah, great game, Oninaki. Pretty heavily overlooked and underrated game. Moving on to another hidden gem. This is on different platforms like the Switch. This is God Wars Future Past. It's also on the PS Vita. Strategy RPG, pretty folkloric, about the ancient Japan, the feudal Japan, stuff like that, with tons of magic and fan service and whatnot. A little bit like Tactics Ogre, Final Fantasy Tactics, but not really. Either way, check this one out. It's really solid. God Wars Future Past. Anyway, this one needs no introduction. I can't seem to shut up about this game. These are the Land Greaser Remix 1 and 2. Man, I can't wait to get Land Greaser 3 and 4 with better graphics, but if that can be possible, then it's okay. I don't care if they got generic mobile style looking graphics. Land Greaser 3 and 4, please make that happen. Divinity Original Sin, this is the enhanced edition. I think it comes with something, yeah. Also with a slightly bulky manual, yeah. This is a Western RPG, and I think it's pretty popular, you know. I think a lot of people are into this series, and it's one of the most beloved Western RPGs that don't really feel like Western RPGs, but, you know, I don't know much about these games. All I know is that I have this game, that I played it for like 3 hours. I enjoyed it, but there's a multiplayer co-op mode, and I think it shines a little bit more in that multiplayer mode, because single player was kind of boring, but I don't know, maybe it's also one of those games that get better the more you advance. Who knows, right? Divinity Original Sin, a lot of you may not be familiar with it because you're not really into Western RPGs like me. You're here for the Japanese babies, man, I know that. So I recommend this one. Just let me put more hours into it before I can review it one day and come here and say, yes, it's awesome, or say, you know what? Nope, not for me. Alright, moving on to another strategy RPG. This is Summon Night 6 Lost Borders. And man, this also has a really bulky manual like Cosmic Star Heroine. Check this out, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of it. Pretty bulky manual. Yep. Criminally overlooked. I think this game is pretty good. It's also a crossover, you know. It's one of those that mixes, invites characters from the entirety of the Summon Night series. We've only gotten a few of them. We got Summon Night 5 on the PSP. We got the 2 games, Soulcraft Story 1 and 2, action RPGs on the Game Boy Advance. But we didn't get Summon Night 1, 2, 3, and 4, and other spin-offs. And there are characters from those games that we didn't get in this game, so it might be a bit confusing. I know it's not gonna be for everybody, plus it's a grid-based strategy RPG, plus it's got a lot of dialogue, not exactly visual novel, don't worry, but there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of slice of life and nonsensical chit-chat, so yeah, I know it's not gonna be for everybody, but if that sounds like your type of game, this is pretty good. And it's also kind of cheap, you know. I've seen this game going for about $30 to $40, and for considering its obscurity, that's an affordable price, I'd say. This is Dark Rose Valkyrie by Compile Heart, published by Idea Factory. Man, I really want to like this game. Ah, man, what a disappointment. At the beginning, I remember several years ago when I was making the PS4 Hidden Gems videos, I talked about this and I recommended the game, and I was like, man, it's good. I did read a lot of crap about it, bad reviews. Well, not terrible reviews, the game isn't terrible, but it's one of those that start off really good, a couple of hours into it, and you're like, man, this is really good. It's another harem, of course, the guy and a bunch of girls that you can date and talk to them in their rooms and, you know, bond with and whatnot. And the turn-based combat is awesome. I really mean it, you know. It's worth playing just because of the battle system, just to play the game for a few hours until you start realizing it's one of those, where the hell do I go? How do I get there? And I'm tired of all the fighting. Puzzles are bad. And then the narrative starts getting a little bit dumber than usual. Darker, but ironically stupider. So yeah, Dark Rose Valkyrie, I do not recommend this game, but if you see it for dirt cheap, pick it up, if only for the battle mechanics, a turn-based combat, and man, it's pretty good. Wow, this is an overly bizarre video game. I've covered this game several times on this channel. This is Zanki Zero Last Beginning. First-person dungeon crawler and with action RPG combat, believe it or not. Controversial, mature rating, but yeah, I've covered this game several times. Let's move on. Really good, really unique. This is the remaster of Tales of Vesperia, also known as the Definitive Edition, the one that it's pretty much a remaster of the original PS3 version that never came out of Japan. Yep, dirt cheap, by the way. Pick it up, it is the definitive version of that game to play. Tales of Berseria, one of my favorite Tales of ever made. In fact, I think it's my second favorite. Berseria, masterpiece. Zestiria, Tales of Zestiria, we all know, and that we all know it gets a lot of hate, but I don't know, man. I like the game. It's no masterpiece, but man, it was pretty fun to an extent. It is one of the worst Tales games ever made, but like I've ever said, there is not a single bad Tales game, in my opinion. Dragon Star Varnir is another fan service game developed by Compile Heart, but this one is a little bit darker than some of the others, and it's pretty good. I never finished it because it does get to a point where it starts getting kind of slow and repetitive, but I really wanted to finish it. It's just back then I moved on to other games that I really needed to play for this channel, and then more games, and then more and more and more until I abandoned it. But I am going to go back to this game one of these days and finish it because I really enjoyed it. Now, the fan service is top-notch. This combat you're seeing right now, man, it's pretty unique. What I like about Compile Heart games nowadays is that, yes, sure, they're all freaking harems with a guy dating different girls and whatnot, and fan service and dumb, silly chit-chat every now and then, blah blah blah. Right, that's true, but the battle mechanics in almost every single one of them are pretty creative, right? I mean, look at this. You gotta go up and then down. You plan your formations and your strategies by moving the cactus up and down, and then the enemies are weaker in the upper side or in the down side. I mean, yeah, it's pretty unique. Give this game a chance, guys. It's one of the better Compile Heart JRPGs. Oh yeah, Dragon Star Varnir. Oh man, moving on to these two excellent games, legendary, the Nier games, Nier Automata and Nier Replicant. Of course, you already know them. Nier Replicant is a bit of a remake slash remaster. It's more of a remaster than anything. Anyway, the Nier games, of course, must own, must play. And this is Edge of Eternity. Okay, this is an indie game, and alright. It's one of those that it's half great, half bad. Okay, it's full of problems, like a lot of indie RPGs out there. Unbalanced, difficulty spikes, annoying missions. I remember quitting in the middle of a boss fight halfway through the game, where I mean it was just a chore of a battle. It wasn't hard. It was just taking forever, and you need to switch off certain pillars, and I don't even remember, you fight this boss, and if you don't switch the pillars or click on them or move a character next to them, you can't damage the boss. I don't know, man. The graphics look beautiful for its time. Of course, it had a lot of technical issues and frame rate issues and screen tearing and bugs and glitches. It was a very troublesome game. Most of the technical issues have been patched, but yeah, unfortunately it developed a bit of a bad reputation because of that, and also because, like I said, it's one of those games that's kind of unbalanced, and sometimes it's great, sometimes it's boring, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's pretty hard. Yeah, do I recommend it? Yes, I do. I picked it up for like $10, sealed. It's still sealed because I own it digital, but yeah, I do recommend it. Just hopefully you'll like it more than me. Okay, we're done with that pillar, so let's move on with this. This is Brigandine, Legend of Runersia. I've also covered this game to death in this channel, strategy RPG, follow up to the one on the PlayStation 1. It's got nothing to do with it, standalone story, so don't worry, you can just jump into this game without playing any other video game or the previous Brigandine, but it's one of those that involves micromanagement with monsters and creatures that you summon thanks to the mana you get after every battle. And it's one of those campaign-driven games, which means you need to conquer every single country and nation so you can conquer the world, and several protagonists to choose from, several different endings because of that. You know the drill. It's one of those games, and it's really, really good. If you're into strategy RPGs, man, this is a must-play, but unfortunately, I think both the Switch and this PS4 version, I don't think they're... I don't know if they're North American or not, but my point is that they're kind of expensive and kind of hard to find, okay? And if you see them, they might come with this thing. I don't even know how to call it. It's kind of like a cardboard print, and that's it. But it's really good, kind of like golden color. Beautiful, right? Beautiful. Brigandine. Yeah, great game. This is Maglam Lord, an action RPG, 2D action RPG. Also one of those with different routes and endings and decisions matter and whatnot. A lot of reading too, not exactly visual novel, don't worry, but yeah, it's kind of generic, and the humor is kind of funny sometimes, just not all the time. And well, look at the graphics, they kind of look low budget because this was made by a team known as Felistella, who developed some of the Summon Night games, specifically the ones on the Game Boy Advance that I mentioned earlier. And those are pretty good games, but this one, I don't know, man. I don't know. I have very mixed feelings about this game. If it looks generic to you right now, it's because it is, okay? It isn't a bad game per se. It's actually quite fun. And if you have nothing better to play, or if you just want to kill some time, you might want to pick this one up and play it and put some hours into it. After all, it's good. You know, the music is fantastic, by the way, and the combat is amazing. But yeah, overall, it falls short compared to the Summon Night games. Those had a lot of charm, and this one just feels a little bit generic. Not like Chemco level of generic, but a little bit generic nonetheless. It's a good game, it just isn't great. The Hack GU remaster, of course, I recommended this remaster to death, also the PS2 version, so yeah, Hack GU. Apparently there's a new game in the series coming soon next year, so maybe. Tokyo Xanadu, I've also covered this game a lot of times. This is Valley Falcom, action RPG, and yes, this is the game that I stopped playing because it had this idol culture stuff and music and story, and man, I quit. But amazing combat, by the way. Tokyo Xanadu. This is Atelier Ryza. This is the only one I own out of the trilogy because the other two are freaking expensive and never went down in price, and I've never seen them for sale. Thankfully, this was a gift from a fan, so Atelier Ryza, the first one, pretty good game, and it is one of the better Atelier games. The internet is right about that. Disgaea 5, never finished it. This is the game that made me realize I'm not really a Disgaea fan. I was a fan of 4 and 2, specifically 2 and 4, yeah, those were my favorites. But this is the one that I played for like 5 or 6 hours, and I said, you know what, I'm not really a Disgaea fan, but I love the humor, love the characters, love the music. Great games. Pillars of Eternity. Okay, so what the hell is this? Fine. So this is the complete edition. I don't know much about this game. I remember it was also a gift, and I played it, and I streamed it for a couple of hours, and that's as far as I got, man. It's a Western RPG, but it's very Western-like. Not Western-like as in like Dragon Age or The Witcher, no. More like on the, I don't even know what to compare it. It resembles and plays a lot like all of those old computer RPGs, and in fact, I think this was originally released for PC as an exclusive, and then it got ported to consoles. Anyway guys, I wish I could tell you more about it, but I played it, I never went back to it, and I probably never will. I think there's more chances of going back to Divinity than Pillars of Eternity, but I've heard really good things about it. Apparently it's one of the better Western RPGs there are. If I'm not mistaken, this is an indie game, but if it's not, forgive me, I don't know much about it. I just know that I own it. Exist Archive, The Other Side of the Sky, developed by Tri-Ace and Spike Chunsoft. Yep, that game that everybody thought was a spiritual successor to Valkyrie Profile, and it wasn't, it just has similar gameplay mechanics. I covered this hidden gem to death in this channel, so yeah, let's move on. Valkyria Chronicles 4, masterpiece. Yes, people wonder often nowadays if it's as good as the first one. It is. The first one is better, but this, I mean, you can't go wrong. God Eater 3 and God Eater 2. God Eater 2, remember, if you buy this game brand new, you get a digital code to download the first one in the series for free, but it's digital only. I don't think it got a physical release outside of Japan. Anyway, the God Eater games are really good, pretty addictive, pretty repetitive. You really need to like the battle systems and the battle mechanics and the characters and the story and fighting big monsters over and over again to enjoy them, but they're pretty good. A lot of fan service, like completely unnecessary fan service. Well, when the hell is it ever necessary? But necessary or not, it's primordial. Anyway, yeah, God Eater. Yeah, the trilogy. Great games. And we all know that Code Vein is exactly where God Eater went into. It's not really a spiritual successor or anything, you know, it's just a lot of people... I don't want to spoil anything, but there is a connection between the God Eater series and this game, and everybody seems to believe that this is where, that the God Eater is over, and now we're gonna get Code Vein 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, Code Vein masterpiece, I love it, by the way. Moving on to Earthlock, man, I don't think I can recommend this game. I can kinda recommend Steel Edge of Eternity, but Earthlock, Festival of Magic, I don't know, man. This is an indie game that got somewhat popular back in the day. And it's one of those that start kinda normal, kinda balanced, but then it goes stupidly hard, man. And very unfair, by the way. And it's one of those, it's a turn-based RPG, plays around with the elements. You play as all of these characters, and each of them has like 2 different poses. And you can only play as one, you can only use one pose per battle, and if you want to change to another pose, you need to spend a turn doing that. And because of that, one pose makes up for the weaknesses of the other, but at the same time it leaves them vulnerable. And I don't know, man, I don't think the developers thought this through pretty good, in my opinion. I made it pretty far, actually. I died at this boss fight you're seeing right now. I couldn't get past this bastard, no matter how hard I tried, and I actually grinded a lot, and I still couldn't defeat it. And this is when I gave up, because before this boss, it had been nothing but BS, but major BS, and I gave up, man. I was like, man, you know, I am not loving this game. It's good, don't take me wrong, it's not a bad game, it's just too brutal, too unbalanced, and also it's kind of cryptic. I remember having to check up on a walkthrough every now and then because I didn't know where to go, or how was I supposed to get there, etc. And the music is extremely boring. It isn't bad, but it's just boring. Yeah, Earthlock, and there's a sequel coming out soon. I am not playing it. Yeah, not a bad game, but... Indivisible, yeah, pretty popular indie game. I didn't like this one bit. Well, in fact, I really wanted to like it, but I don't want to rant about this game anymore. I've done enough ranting about it in the past. Oh man, Like a Dragon, Yakuza Like a Dragon. This is an excellent game that I've recommended multiple times throughout this year. Yeah, I should make a video called Top 10 JRPGs that I recommended to death in this year. This should be there. Ni no Kuni, man. Okay, this is great. I didn't like the first one, I like this one, but I never finished it because it tried to be Suikoden so hard, it failed. It is a great game. I just didn't love it as much as I thought I did. But yeah, great game. The remaster of Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, excellent and definitely the best version of it to play. Okay, so this is Death End Request, the first one. I've covered this and its sequel, especially its sequel, multiple times this year, just like Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yeah, I just can't seem to shut up about them, right? But yeah, amazing game, one of the best compiled hard RPGs, the second best, only surpassed by its amazing sequel. I want to talk about Crosscode. Crosscode is another popular indie RPG, action RPG with beautiful visuals, beautiful music, beautiful gameplay mechanics and stuff and combat. Everything is great, but it's also heavily puzzled. And I mean that half of the game you'll be solving these puzzles over and over again, and there's like a million of them per dungeon, and that's what made me rage quit. I couldn't do it anymore. Some of these puzzles are easy, some of these puzzles are hard, like everything, right? What can be hard for you can be easy for others and vice versa, but they wore me out. And for some of the puzzles that I couldn't solve, I was there reading a guide. I first tried to figure them out for myself, but then I realized that I couldn't, and then I checked up a walkthrough, and I solved it, and move on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and so on. They just went on and on and on forever. So I get it, a lot of people love this game and I can see why, but it's just these puzzle solving mechanics were, man, they were more of a chore than an actual enjoyment for me. Crosscode, great game, but yeah, it's a hard pass for me. I'm never coming back to this game. Okay, so this is Star Ocean The Divine Force. This is sealed. I didn't open it because I got the digital copy. That's the one that I played and finished. Yeah. Amazing game, by the way. One of the best Star Ocean games ever made. Up there with the second one, especially with this remaster. But Star Ocean 5, it isn't bad. Let's leave it at that. It's not a bad game. It's actually good and decent and enjoyable, but it's the worst Star Ocean game. Nailke and the Legendary Alchemists. What a disappointment crossover. Again, just like Dark Rose Valkyrie, remember that game that I really liked at first and recommended it, and then a couple of hours later, I was like, man, I was facepalming, regretting recommending it. Well, yeah, same case. It's just an extremely repetitive, convoluted mess of a game. Instead of being a proper atelier game where you play as an alchemist and go around and recruit some characters, and then gather materials and mix stuff and blah blah blah. No, it's a town simulator. You pretty much are some kind of an architect in this game, and it's boring. The visuals are beautiful, but yeah, it's just all this management, all this micromanagement, all this simulation kind of ruined it for me. Yeah, it developed a bad reputation for being that kind of game that nobody wanted and nobody asked for. So Ghost, if you ever do another crossover Atelier game, do it properly, with proper gameplay mechanics like in Ryza or Sophie or Shally. Not like this. Do not repeat this mistake ever again. Not a bad game, but not great either. And last but not least, Final Fantasy VII Remake. What else is there to say? Okay, we're done with this pillar. Alright, let's move on to some special editions, baby! Okay, this is Sakuna of Rise and Ruin, my latest acquisition when it comes to special editions. Man, beautiful game. Take a look at this picture. This is what the edition includes. This art book, the soundtrack, which is the full soundtrack, by the way. And this thing, there is a charm, a cloth thingy. It says here it's an exclusive cloth Omamori charm. Yeah, very Japanese thing, right? Beautiful special edition, and you can see right here it's kind of like metallic. Yeah, I love that. Sakuna of Rise and Ruin, I've talked about this game multiple times in this channel ever since I played it. Surpassed my expectation, yeah. Another special edition that I want to show right now is this one. Trails from Zero, The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero. I can't wait to get my hands on the one for Trails to Asher. But yeah, this was a gift from a fan, and I love it. This is a great special edition. It's actually called the Deluxe Edition because look at this picture. That's what it owns. That's where it comes from. Man, what a great limited edition, right? That's what I call a true special edition, man. Beautiful. It includes all of that you're seeing right now. And I was hoping for some kind of figure, some action figure stuff, you know, but it's okay. We got these things instead that I don't know what the hell they are. Probably some acrylic stands for the characters. It's fun. Anyway, so yeah, moving on. This is an excellent game, by the way. Excellent game. All the Trails games are excellent. Okay, so Scarlet Nexus. Okay, I've covered this game a lot of times. This is an excellent game too. Strongly recommend it. Let's move on. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Pretty popular game. Everybody told the world that this was a true comeback of the series, and it's an excellent beat 'em up. And yeah, check it out. I also recommend it. Masterpiece, actually. Okay, so this is Has Been Heroes. It's bad. Okay, so this is Labyrinth of Refrain. Alright, okay, I'll explain this game. So, I think it's an indie game. I don't know much about it. I think it was published or developed by Frozen Byte. And it has some RPG elements. You play as these characters and you slowly move in turns across the screen. And you defeat enemies. But it's kind of like a slow motion system where you need to decide your actions during the very slow amount of time they give you. That's what I remember. I played this with my buddy Oscar a long time ago, and we actually included this game in one of our Hidden Gems videos for our channel in Spanish. But then I remember that both of us kind of regretted it and realized that, well, kind of pretty much admitted that the game wasn't good. It's just a convoluted mess, and it's really hard to get into. I don't think it's bad. But it's not good, and I don't recommend it, okay? So now let's move on to Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk. There's a new one that came out this year. I haven't played it. Dungeon crawler in first person. Pretty unique, actually. It has some mature themes here and there, some dark stuff, but also some sexualization, which is why you got the mature rating. I'm not really into dungeon crawlers in first person, you know that. And this one, I never finished it, and I probably never will. But let me tell you something, if you like those types of games, I think this is a must play because it seemed to me that they had a lot of personality, a lot of uniqueness, and the witch Dronia, I think that's her name, she was a very fun character. And, but yeah, like many dungeon crawlers in first person, you know, you just go around, explore massive dungeons and labyrinths, and they get repetitive and tiresome and brutal at some point, so keep that in mind. If this is your type of game, if you like Etrian Odyssey, those games, I think this is a very good game. It's a must play. And I can't talk about its sequel because I haven't played it. Crystar, I've talked about Crystar multiple times in this channel. Recently reviewed the sequel Cry Machina, which has nothing to do with this game in terms of story. Also comes with a manual, although this is a bit of a concept art book. And it has, you know, like some art style, some character, some drafts, some pictures, you know, kind of like a very mini special edition, but it's pretty much a standard edition. Crystar, yeah, Hidden Gem, great game. I've covered this game multiple times. Let's move on. Lost Sphere, another hidden gem that I've covered to death in this channel, along with Exist Archive, God Wars, and those games. Same developers as Oninaki that I praised earlier today. Yeah, Lost Sphere, dirt cheap, by the way, dirt cheap. Definitely pick it up. So this is Sakura Wars. Okay, this was supposed to be some kind of reboot of the series. Instead of being strategy RPG, it was now an action RPG. Yeah, I've covered this game multiple times. It's also a bit of a not visual novel, just, you know, with some dating sim and a lot of decision making, very interactive dialogue. That's what made me love this game so much. And I do resent that it changed from strategy to action, but the action in this game did not disappoint. So yeah, Sakura Wars, exclusive on the PlayStation 4, man. So yeah, check it out. This is the standard vanilla edition of Dragon Quest XI. Maybe one day I'll get the better version, definitive edition. But yeah, masterpiece, you already know that. Okay, Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2, spin-offs, amazing action RPGs. Kind of like a Musou style. I'm a big fan of these games, but they're also pretty challenging, man. But definitely recommend it. Really good. The Last Guardian, developed by Team Ico and the guys who made Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah, this is a wonderful game. It does have its problems and camera issues and whatnot, but Oh man, you gotta play this game. This is really, really freaking good. It got really popular for good reasons. The bond between the main character and the beast, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Sega Genesis Collection, yeah, not much to say about it. It includes several great JRPGs, including all the Phantasy Star games and Shining Force games. So this is a must-own if you don't want to pay outrageous prices separately for each Genesis game. The Witcher, believe it or not, I own this version because it was a gift, and this also comes with some goodies. Yep, this map right here. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like a big map of the entire world, open world where this game takes place in. Can you see that? Oh yeah. Great. It was supposed to be a standard edition, but it comes with all these goodies that it's pretty much a limited edition, right? Some stickers. Dear gamer, first of all, we would like to thank you for your support. One of those thank you notes from the company. This is a small compendium of characters, a bit of a manual. The entire soundtrack, it has 31 songs, so I'm assuming this is the complete soundtrack and the game. And no, I never went back to this game. I know I promised I will one day. I've yet to fulfill that promise. Moving on to another Western RPG, I think this is from France. This is Vampire. I never finished this game, but it's one of the very few Western RPGs that I am dead sure I will come back to one of these days and finish it because it's dark as hell. It's about a vampire and you make decisions and your decisions matter. If you decide to drink the blood from your victims, then you are on to the evil ending and the evil route. If you don't, then you get the idea, right? So, pretty good game. Actually, a lot of personality, a lot of darkness into it. And it's an action RPG and the controls aren't stellar. This is not The Witcher or Dragon Age Inquisition, nothing of the sort. But they work, they're pretty fun nonetheless. But yeah, the real fun of this game is to make the decisions, to watch the story unfold based on your choices. It's a true role-playing game, so yeah, check it out. Vampire, I think it's also kind of cheap, so definitely check this one out. My Ease games, of course, there's 3 of them. These are the only ones that I got on the PlayStation 4. Is Origin, is 8 Lacrimosa of Dana, and is 9, which I absolutely loved and think it's heavily underrated. Moving on to Lumo. What the hell is this, right? Lumo. This is a puzzle game. Not exactly environmental puzzle, just a puzzle game. It's a love letter to Solstice and those puzzle-like games from the NES era. And it actually feels like a remake of those games, and it's pretty good. The music is fantastic, the graphics look beautiful, the puzzles are engaging, all in isometric view, and they're pretty creative, but it's also extremely hard. I never beat it, and I really wanted to beat it, but it's so hard, man, because there's also some platforming involved, and if you gotta like move around. It's not like you can just, watch a video on YouTube or somewhere and to tell you how to solve the puzzle. No, I mean, you gotta be skillful with the platforming and avoiding enemies and traps and stuff. Yeah, pretty challenging, pretty hardcore, but very fun nonetheless. Lumo, great game, definitely a hidden gem. We're starting to run out of space here, man. This is Shantae, Half Genie Hero, perhaps the most popular Shantae game of the bunch and a masterpiece, platforming masterpiece. Enough said, great game, man, pretty popular by the way. Resident Evil Origins Collection includes Resident Evil 1, the remake, and Resident Evil 0, both released originally on the GameCube. Yeah, I'm a Resident Evil fan of the old ones, so I had to have it. Okay, so this is Trails of Cold Steel 2, 3, and 4. I do not have 1 because I have it on the PS Vita, and I don't have yet Reverie because it's still very expensive. I'll get it when it drops in price. I have the digital copy of it, so I'm fine. So yeah, these 3 also come with bulky manuals, by the way, which is pretty cool. I like Falcom because of that. I love it when PlayStation 4 games include some kind of booklet and manual. Let's talk now about some special editions, some more limited editions, and this is Hero Land. What the hell is this? Published by Marvelous Entertainment, and it's a special edition. Why do I own this? Okay, so my sister found this in England for like £10, and I noticed it was a limited edition, so I was like, yeah, bring it on. And it's it's a pretty unique game that I covered a few times in this channel, some hidden gems videos and super obscure gems videos. I think it's one of those that kind of simulates you being a fun park guide, and you guide people to play an actual RPG, a turn-based RPG, but you have no control over them. All you do is wait for them to make their own decisions with an attack waiting bar to beat the crap out of the monsters, and all you can do as the guide is to interrupt the flow of battle by bringing up the menu and selecting an item to heal your party members or to change their strategy and tell them what to do, stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty much Hero Land, fun park, a theme park, where people play in an RPG. And yeah, it's fun, the humor is great, and what the special edition comes from all of these that you're seeing right now, including this damn thing that is kind of like a small board game, but I don't know, man. Yeah, soundtrack, art book, map, guide, map. Yeah, it's a pretty fun game, and I'm glad I own it, Whenever I see special editions of obscure games like this for dirt cheap, I mean, why not pick them up, right? Yet another limited edition is from Valkyria Revolution, one of the most criminally underrated JRPGs of all time. It's no masterpiece, it does have its gameplay issues, but man, criminally underrated, like I said. And well, this special edition includes what you're seeing right now in the picture, including that pin there, and that's a wonderful pin, by the way, the Vanargand. I like it, the wolf thing in there, oh man, yeah, and a mini soundtrack composed by Yasunori Mitsuda. Yeah, Valkyria Chronicles, guys, dirt cheap nowadays, any version, pick it up if you see it. And another special edition that I want to show before we move on with the next pillar is Dusk Diver. It includes what you're seeing right now in the picture, and this was a gift from a fan, and this is not exactly an RPG, okay? This is more of a beat 'em up with RPG elements. There was a sequel that came out last year, Dusk Diver 2. Stupidly brutally hard game, but that's an action RPG. It feels like an action RPG, but this one, it's one of those, right? Like, okay, sure, for sure, we can call it an action RPG too, but it's pretty sure you can beat it in like 10 hours, and it's pretty fun, much better than its sequel, which is freaking broken, by the way, in terms of difficulty. This was pretty challenging too, but it's much better, like I said. And if I'm not mistaken, this game was developed by a Taiwanese studio, okay? Not China, not Japan, not Korea, no, Taiwan. Like, made in Taiwan. Dusk Diver, everybody, pretty fun beat 'em up. Well, okay, action RPG. And then there's Grand Kingdom. This limited edition includes an art book and a soundtrack. Pretty much what the majority of limited editions of video games since forever have included in the past and still include. What you're seeing right now is what you get. And this is a hard to get into game. It's a strategy RPG that I covered to death in this channel many times, so it is recommended, but it's not for everybody, okay? It's hard to get into, and it's a massive grind fest. Dragon's Crown, this is the steel case edition, and it comes with some cards and shit. So Dragon's Crown is a masterpiece, one of the most influential Vanillawares of all time. 2D beat 'em up, action RPG, blah blah blah. You know the drill, you know this game, it's a masterpiece too. Beautiful, amazing game. And also by Vanillaware, this is 13 Sentinels. Aegis Rim, a real-time strategy with a strong focus on its story. It comes with a small art book and a sleeve, and that's it. Not exactly a limited edition, just, one of those games that decided to be released with the company Atlus decided to release with an art book for no reason, but it is appreciated nonetheless. And this is the remastered version of Valkyria Chronicles, a masterpiece that I also own on the PlayStation 3. Oh yeah. Next is my sealed copy of Tales of Arise that I recently acquired, but I've owned the digital version since it came out pretty much. Yeah, excellent game. People often ask me about this game. It is good, it is recommended. Play it. Okay. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. This is both games in one. This is a fighting game, a 2D fighting game, but it also includes a small action RPG that's like 10 to 12 hours long, which is also a bit of a beat 'em up, and it's pretty good. It uses the controls of the fighting game itself, but you beat up a bunch of enemies and then eventually you watch some scenes, you level up, you grind. Actually, it's a bit of a grind fest too. You need to grind because it's this RPG mode is kind of hard. And then eventually you beat a boss. And it also has some, this weapon system that you get a lot of weapons after you beat every mission and you beat a bunch of enemies and a boss. So it feels like gacha mechanics, even though it's not. Yeah, the best thing you can do is just equip the most powerful weapons you find, and that's it. You're gonna have a blast with this game. And as a fighting game, it's also really damn good. It's actually one of my 10 favorite fighting games of all time. Mortal Kombat 11, another fighting game. Yeah, I think it's one of the better Mortal Kombat games, modern Mortal Kombat games. Pretty good, cool animations, great looking fatalities, and stuff like that. Anyway, so let me talk about these games now. These are the Uta Wareru Mono games. I don't have the first one, Prelude to the Fallen, but I have the other two, Mask of Deception and Mask of Truth. These two are special editions. Okay, Mask of Deception comes with what you're seeing right now. Not much to look at, it's just an art book and that's it. But the second one, which is Mask of Truth, pretty much Uta Wareru Mono Part 3. Yep, it comes with this pillowcase, and if you thought it was going to be one of those pillowcases, you thought wrong. Okay, no. It's one with the twins, the sexy twins in the game. And pretty amazing visual novels with strategy RPG battle mechanics. I really like these games, guys. They definitely grow on you and they got a lot of dark stuff and mature stuff. Sure, a lot of fan service too, but a lot of dark stuff here and there. Covered these games throughout the entirety of this year. These are also on the Dead End Request 2 Yakuza Like a Dragon Club, I guess. But then there's this! This is Uta Wareru Mono Zan, and this, well actually this comes with something. Kind of like a very small manual and some stuff in there, but a disc. Yeah, soundtrack. Small soundtrack, yeah. Pretty cool, huh? But this is not an RPG. This is one of those, well, Uta Wareru Mono, just like Fire Emblem and Dragon Quest and yeah, Zelda tried the Warriors route. Okay, they also released this spin-off, which is pretty much a retelling of the events of Mask of Deception. And there's actually another one, Uta Wareru Mono Zan Part 2, which tells the events of Mask of Truth. Just instead of having strategy battle mechanics, they have these Musou-style battle mechanics. But these aren't RPGs. They do have the classic RPG elements here and there, but in reality, they aren't RPGs, They're more on the Dynasty Warriors side of thing. And there's some reading in there, some scenes involved, of course. It is, like I said, a retelling of the same game. But the story is watered down. There's not a lot of reading like there is in the original games. Okay, so they aren't visual novels, for so to speak. Okay, so and is it any good? Yes, it's pretty damn good. Controls are great, the fighting is great, beating the crap out of hordes of enemies works marvelously. So yeah, this is definitely recommended, guys. I liked it, and I'm looking forward to getting the next one. Okay, so moving on to these two masterpieces, Little Nightmares 1 and 2. And I'm pretty sure you already know a lot about these games because they are strongly recommended, and we're finally getting a sequel one of these days, next year I think. Oh man, I'm in love with these two games, especially the first one is a masterpiece, and it's one of my favorite environmental puzzle games and also survival horror games. Okay, and then there are these two here, Judgment and Lost Judgment. Pretty much spin-offs of the Yakuza series. Strong RPG elements, a lot of people think they're RPGs, but they're actually not in my opinion. They just don't feel like one to me, but to each their own. I respect anybody who claims them to be role-playing games. But you basically play as a lawyer, and that's kind of disgrace for... it's his fault that he let a murderer walk free. So now he quits the law firm and now starts a private detective agency. And the story goes from there across both games. One is a direct sequel of the other, so it is necessary to start with the first one. And man, amazing, stupid stupidly amazing games, man. I can't believe how good they are. Multiple gameplay mechanics, from like a beat 'em up type of combat where you have different poses and you can change between poses at any time and fight against hordes of enemies or just one boss, and etc. But also you got some mini game missions that are required, like the following missions, kind of like stealth missions a la Metal Gear Solid, stuff like that. And also like running missions where you chase after an enemy and you gotta dodge things with quick time events. And then investigations with decision making and stuff like that. And man, you can tell I'm a big fan of these two games. I greatly enjoy them. And they're usually cheap, okay? They aren't hard to find. And yeah, they are strongly recommended, guys. Judgment and Lost Judgment. Better than any Yakuza game, man. I'm just kidding. Well, actually, let's move on. Astria Ascending, a game that was almost a disappointment if it wasn't for its easy mode. This got so infamous for being ridiculously hard, up to the point where it was freaking broken. Oh yeah, but thankfully developers were smart enough to include an easy and a very easy mode. So what I did was play the grinding on very easy to make it faster, because it is very easy, but easy mode felt like the normal mode to me. So that's how I play this game, and it is very recommended if you do that. But even if you don't, if you want to suffer through it, if you're a fucking masochist, then yeah, go ahead by all means, you know, put some hours into the grinding and you'll probably enjoy as much as I did. Astria Ascending, beautiful indie game, co-developed by, well, not co-developed, it is developed by some kind of international studio, but the person who wrote the script is the guy who wrote some of the Final Fantasy games, and the person who made the music is none other than the guy who composed the Final Fantasy Tactics and Valkyria Chronicles soundtrack and some of the Vanillaware games. Yeah, Astria Ascending, pretty good game. And then the Banner Saga Trilogy, which is also some kind of special edition. It comes with a map, a manual, and a soundtrack. Yeah, not a cloth map, just regular cardboard paper. But this is a bad game, in my opinion. It has some great reviews. You know, I guess a lot of people who like strategy RPGs that are Western liked it. I didn't. I thought it was pretty boring, pretty generic, and it's just, yeah. The Banner Saga, yeah. Don't come in the comments with the pitchforks, guys. I'm sorry, it's my opinion. I didn't like that game. Okay, Octopath Traveler 2. Amazing game, obviously, just as great as its predecessor. And then there's Knights of Azure, which I've also covered to death in this channel. The sequel, I own it on the Switch, Knights of Azure. I know it's kind of expensive. The PAL version that I own, it's cheaper. And then there's Mist Over. This is, okay, this is a Darkest Dungeon clone. Remember Darkest Dungeon from like 40 minutes ago? Okay, so it's a clone. But you don't fighting like, okay, you do fighting 2D battles, like you're seeing right now, but the battle interface is different. You got a bunch of characters with different formations, and you can move to the left, to the right, to the middle, and whatnot. Well, it's also one of those games with generic characters, not focused on the story, no character development, just gameplay through and through, turn-based battles, exploration, kind of like a roguelike where the dungeons are automatically generated, game like that. So Mist Over, not for me. I like the idea, you know, but it's not for me. I never finished it. And this is the Chinese version with English subtitles. I don't think this game got a North American release or PAL version or anything. I think this is the only physical version of it. This is an exclusive on the PlayStation 4. This is The Witch and the Hundred Knight 2. Unrelated in terms of story to its predecessor. Don't worry, you don't need to play it. It's also on PS4, by the way. I just don't have it. I have the PS3 version. But this game, the humor is great. The dialogue is great. It has some weird stuff here and there, and got a lot of criticism because of that. But, you know, I don't give a rat's ass. You know me. And the gameplay is a little bit of an improvement over the first game. You only control the little thing there, the Hundred Knight, and you can control different weapons. You can wear an axe, a spear, and a sword, I think. And you choose battle across small battlefields, top-down view until you reach a boss and whatnot. And you also devour your enemies to gain energy and become stronger. It can be kind of repetitive, okay? But the controls are solid, kind of stiff, but stiff in a good sense. Like, that's the point of the game, to make these combos and make you feel like you're beating the crap out of someone. Yeah, Witch in the 100th Night too. Great game, great follow-up. Maybe we'll get a third game one day. Digimon Survive is a game no one liked except me. It's a visual novel, dark as hell visual novel with some psychological issues and stuff. Also a lot of decision making. This is one of those games where every single decision, not every single one of them, but a lot of your decisions matter, and they also affect your relationship with the characters. But it's also a strategy RPG, a grid-based one, isometric view. And you control your little things, your Digimon, and well, I guess it's not like wow, like wonderful, but you know, if you're into grid-based strategy RPGs, you're probably going to enjoy this, even if you don't like Digimon or Pokemon or games like that. I don't. You know, you guys know that I'm not really a fan of Digimon at all, and I really enjoy this game, probably because of its story and because of its grid-based battle mechanics. Digimon Survive, I'm gonna dare and say that it's a bit underrated. Anyway, this is Shan Yuan Sword, The Gate of Firmament. This is the Chinese version, but it comes with English subtitles. I think it's the only physical version of it. There's also Shan Yuan Sword 7, which is much better, and it got a regular physical version. Great action RPG, but this is also an action RPG where you don't control your characters directly. They just move around on their own and fight on their own. You just click buttons to tell them what to do. Reminds me a bit, just a bit of Final Fantasy XII, but it's also very different. And I've covered this game a couple of times in this channel, in a couple of videos, and I wasn't exactly satisfied. It's a bit of a grind fest, and it's very, very unfair. You know, eventually you hit a difficulty spike, and then another, and then another, and another, and it gets tiresome, okay? Oh, and by the way, it also has some frame drop issues in there, and a lot of them, and some screen tearing, and yeah, a lot of technical issues. But this is a low-budget Chinese game. The series is actually pretty famous in China, but it just shows that they don't have a lot of money to make proper AAA games. But no matter what, I think it's a fun game, and if you like grinding, you'll probably enjoy this more than I did. I do recommend it. I didn't finish it, I made it pretty far, but this boss battle you're seeing right now wrecked me. And I never got past it and I gave up. Now I'm gonna showcase these two special editions. The first one is Little Witch No Beta, and what you're seeing right now on screen is what this beautiful special edition includes. Yes, including that pretty cutesy plushie in there. Idea Factory sent me this special edition for no reason, just because they liked my channel and because, you know, they thought I would review the game, and I did. I've covered this game a couple of times before. It's a bit of a Souls-like. Well, they say it's a Souls-like, but it's nowhere near as hard as a Souls game. But yeah, it's got some influence because the enemies are hard to take down, and you need to be technical about it, like evade them and shoot them at the proper time. It's a third-person shooter, by the way. Well, you practically use magic to shoot out of your staff, and that's it, but you can also hack and slash your way through with the same staff. It's fun, and it's kind of dark. I think it's a little bit darker than what it should have been, because there's some fan service, and well, the protagonist is pretty much a cute loli, and the contrast in there didn't work very well in my opinion, but overall, I thought it was a pretty fun game. So if you see it around, pick it up. I'm not sure how much this special edition goes for. It's probably very expensive, but anyway, thanks again Idea Factory, and also thanks for this other one, which is Fate Fencer 2. I know I trashed the game because it's politicized, forced inclusion and whatnot, and it's also stupidly hard, up to the point where not even on easy mode you can make any decent progress without spending hours and hours of grinding. So I gave up. I put like 20 something hours into it when I finally said, you know what, I'm done. It isn't bad, the game is not bad, but it isn't great either, in my opinion, unless you're into massive grind fests, and unless you don't mind the political stuff in there from nowadays, from this generation of gaming and entertainment. But this is what it owns, what you're seeing right now. This is the special edition. It's beautiful, by the way. I'm pretty grateful, you know, even if I didn't like the game and I destroyed it with my criticism, I'm still grateful that Idea Factory went through the trouble of sending it to me, and now I own it, and well, the special edition is freaking beautiful. Alright guys, are you ready for my game number 100th? The last of this amazing collection? Are you ready? Well, introducing Valkyria Chronicles 5. What, you thought Valkyria Chronicles was dead? No, it isn't. They made a huge comeback with this masterpiece. And this is the horse edition. I'm so glad they included horses because, you know, they deserve to be included too. They have rights, they have feelings, and they deserve to be treated as sequels, right? So the horse riding stuff in Valkyria Chronicles, man, they nailed it. What an amazing battle system with the horses included. Oh yeah! So Valkyria Chronicles 5, check it out, pick this one up, super strongly recommend everybody, masterpiece, and I'm glad it did not disappoint me one bit. Valkyria Chronicles 5, and that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching everybody, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!